you get incredible savings every time you shop. There's still time to save big for the holiday season. Check a few names off your list with gift selections for your friends and family, like home decor and jewelry, toys, and gift baskets with new items arriving this week. Plus, we have plenty of gift cards for all. So hitch up the sleigh and head to Sam's Club or samsclub.com because holiday shopping just got a little bit simpler. Join and save. Sam's Club. Life is better in the club. See club for details.
Right now at Kohl's 3-day gift sale, take an extra 20% off with your Savings Pass. Use it on top of great gift sale prices in-store and online, like 60 to 70% off fine jewelry. Plus, everyone gets $10 Kohl's cash for every $50 spent. This Thursday through Saturday at Kohl's 3-day gift sale. Kohl's. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Residents in an affluent Jewish neighborhood in Queens, New York are on edge following 7 arson fires since late October.
You gotta stay alert for things like this, and we're just washing out, at night to see if anything's gonna happen.
It's really dangerous to live here right now.
Police have released another video of a man suspected of setting the 7 fires. It shows a man with his face covered, wearing gloves, and appearing to put a gun from his ankle area to his pocket. The fires have been on properties owned by Bukharian Jews. GOP frontrunner Donald Trump holds a big lead in the new CBS News New York Times poll of Republican presidential candidates, with Senator Ted Cruz taking over second place. Trump gets 35% support from GOP primary voters and has a 19-point lead over Cruz. Most of the poll's respondents were interviewed before Trump said Muslims should be banned from entering the U.S. Ben Carson is third with 13% support, while Senator Marco Rubio is fourth with 9%. This is USA Radio News. I'm Melody Burkett.
Step right up to the amazing taste of Coney Island Hard Root Beer. A delicious adult twist on an old favorite. The real root beer taste with a hint of vanilla will thrill your taste buds. Coney Island Hard Root Beer. Ask for it by name. Coney Island Brewing Company, Brooklyn, New York. Drink responsibly.
A media watchdog group is speaking out against an open pro-Muslim bias in the major press. Senior correspondent Jason Wirt has the story.
Major television news outlets are being called out for their hiding news and refusing to report facts in an attempt to paint Muslims in the best possible light. Tim Graham of the Media Research Center is telling USA Radio News an example of the kind of story where the press ignores Muslims, but if a Christian did it, they'd run it on their front page.
They do not show these radical Muslims throwing gays off of buildings because that would make it harder for them to present Muslims in America as victims.
Graham went on to say that while Muslims are maiming, beating, and killing gays, the press creates the illusion a Christian who does not agree with gay marriage is actually the bad one. I'm Jason Wirt.
Have you ever found yourself wheezing and sneezing around your Christmas tree? It can happen to people with environmental allergies. Experts say it's not the needles on the tree that trigger the problem. It's the mold either on the bark or in a house that's closed up and dry this time of year. They suggest introducing moisture into the air. That includes using a HEPA filter, diffusers, saline sprays, or rubbing your chest with essential oils such as lavender, lemon, or peppermint. The nation's airlines expect to fly 38 million passengers during the winter holidays. That's a 3% increase over last year. The trade group Airlines for America credits the strengthening economy and lower fares for the rise in travelers. For breaking news, we're at westernjournalism.com. I'm Melody Burkett.
Fox Sports Trending now.
Got some good news today coming out of the National Football League, where Pro Football Hall of Famer John Madden was released from a San Francisco hospital just yesterday after undergoing open heart surgery. He is in positive spirits and is expected to recover. New York Jets quarterback Darrelle Revis, who has been out because of a concussion, is back on the practice field with his teammates. And Thursday night football going down in the desert. Arizona Cardinals and Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota's got 4 defensive starters out, and that includes linebacker Anthony Barr and safety Harrison Smith. In college football, Clemson football head coach Dabo Swinney captures the Walter Camp Coach of the Year honors. Tigers a perfect 13-0 this season, number 1 ranked team in the nation. The Astros have an agreement in place with pitcher Tony Sipp, pending a physical, 3 years, $18 million. I'm David Gascon.
I hate everybody. I hate It's like a looter in a riot. Shut up, bitch, shut up now. Keeping it secret's gonna make me smile. Shut your mouth, wait till I'm done. Oh God, this is why I just hate everyone. I hate everybody. I hate everyone. Oh, I hate everybody. I hate everyone. I hate everyone. I hate everybody. I hate everyone. Oh, I hate everybody. I hate everyone. Been around the world, found that only stupid people are breeding. Little unwanted failures who live on welfare, who live in trailers, and it's just not fair, no. That all my tax dollars will be there for them to be losers from the start of their life to the end. And that's why I'm not sad when people in poverty die, and why you should pass an IQ test or be sterilized. Shut up, bitch, shut up now. Keeping it sick is gonna make me smile. Shut your mouth, wait till I'm done. Oh God, this is why I just hate everyone. I hate everybody. I hate everyone. Oh, I hate everybody. I hate everyone. I hate everyone. I hate everybody. I hate everyone. Oh, I hate everybody. I hate everyone. I hate everyone.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio.
Every day you're going and working, running that rat race at that pace and that place will leave a bad taste for anyone, everyone working day after day. So buddy, I gotta say, for you, there's gotta be a better way, yeah. And you do what they told ya. Company man, feel it, a mindless little soldier. How can you live like that and maintain your composure before it's begun? Your life's already freaking over. Yeah, I do what I want when I want.
So Geneva's on alert, searching for terrorist suspects. Swiss City, Geneva, they raised their alert level yesterday, said they were looking for suspects who, according to national officials, had links to terrorism. Not entirely sure, but it seems like the attacks in Paris and in San Bernardino have made people sort of wake up a little bit and be a little bit more on the lookout, a little bit more vigilant. I mean, that's all just, I suppose, sugarcoating it and saying people are scared. But, you know, I think people are making an attempt all over the world to kind of get out in front of a potential threat. And that's a good thing, I suppose. We'll wait and see how it plays out. Here's the thing. It's a tough one. It's really a tough one as a citizen. Unless you're part of the whole planning process of this is how we're going to get out in front of the threat of terrorism. If you're a citizen, it's kind of hard because you want to have faith that you're being protected. You want to have faith that your elected officials are getting out in front of things and protecting you from a terrorist threat. And, well, if something happens like San Bernardino, you don't feel safe. You don't feel protected. You don't feel like people are getting out in front of the situation. But if nothing happens, well, a lot of the time you're none the wiser. People that get caught under suspicion of being terrorists, well, it doesn't register in the same way as when a catastrophe happens, when a massacre happens, when an act of terrorism happens. So it's kind of a weird one as citizens. Like, we don't necessarily feel protected because we don't know everything that goes on or we don't pay attention to everything that goes on. There's a day where there wasn't a terrorist attack. Okay, that's how it should be. But you don't necessarily see the things that go into that. Whatever the case may be, it kind of goes back to this idea that we talked about the other day, that we like to feel as though people have a plan. Obama gave a speech in response to what happened in San Bernardino, and it's an incredibly nuanced, complicated situation. So many moving parts. So many things that we don't know. So many things that, you know, I'm quite sure the authorities don't know. And that being the case, Obama sort of like gave his speech, and it made a lot of people feel less safe, not more safe. Just because it was like, there's no concrete plan of how things are going to be different moving forward. And maybe they have one. Maybe they can't talk about it. We don't know. But we, as an American people, had, I think, our confidence in our protection damaged by the fact that there wasn't sort of concrete evidence of like, okay, this was awful. This is how we're going to prevent it from happening in the future. There was this whole thing of making it more difficult for people on no-fly lists to get guns. And people were just like, yeah, but the shooters in San Bernardino weren't on any kind of list. What does that do? But what's very interesting is in one of the most polarizing pieces of political speech that I can remember, Donald Trump got on stage and said, hey, we got to stop Muslims coming into the country. And we've got to really take a long, hard look at mosques because we don't know how people are being radicalized, and this is a big problem. And we can't have another 9/11, and we're going to have another 9/11. And a lot of people went, hey, this is diametrically opposed to the principles upon which America was founded. Freedom of religion is a big deal. But you know what Donald Trump did that almost no one else has done? He presented a clear and decisive plan. And now he's like up by 20 points in the latest poll. Coincidence? I don't think it is.
That's not what the word music means. That's not how you use it. You gave it a shot. You tried your best. Your best is suck without enough. So hang it up. Just give it up. It's time somebody let you know that you will never be good enough. You will never be one of us. You will never be good enough. You know why?
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1967.
Try to set the night on.
In January of 1967, Los Angeles band The Doors released their debut album, which eventually goes to number 2, and features the single Light My Fire, which goes to number 1 in July. The Rolling Stones released Ruby Tuesday, an ode to a groupie written by Keith Richards. The song takes them to number 1 in the U.S. in March. And San Francisco band The Jefferson Airplane released the surrealistic Pillow album, scoring 2 top 10 hits with White Rabbit and Somebody to Love.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Do you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love.
In March of 67, Buffalo Springfield re-releases their debut album to include the hit single For What It's Worth. In April of 67, Give Me Some Lovin' by the Spencer Davis Group goes to number 7 in the U.S., with vocals by 17-year-old Steve Winwood. And in May, Elvis Presley marries his 21-year-old girlfriend Priscilla in Las Vegas. He had been dating her since she was 14. Way to go, Elvis. In May, Mitch Ryder hits number 4 with Devil with a Blue Dress, Good Golly Miss Molly. And the Jimi Hendrix Experience released their debut in the UK. In July, they toured the U.S. as the opening act for the Monkees in support of the U.S. album release.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1967, coming up.
Hello, my name is Ella, and I've been cursed. My stupid fairy godmother gave me the gift of obedience when I was a baby. This means I have to do what anybody tells me, even if I don't want to do it. I need to break this curse before somebody makes me do something terrible. My name is Ella, and I need to take control of my life. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Like most kids from a privileged white upper-middle-class suburban background, for a significant portion of his childhood, he was pretty convinced he was down. AD on the radio.
Let's go. Talking that mess, better act like you know. Oh, let's go tonight. Walk away, punk, yeah, bitch. That's right, I know this. You're nothing but a punk bitch. You're nothing but a punk bitch. So walk away, yeah, yeah. You've been talking about me for a long time.
So, Funkhauser, did you take my Twitter poll?
Oh, man, no, I haven't yet. I haven't seen it. I'm late.
You're late? I think you still... Hold on. How much longer does it say I have left?
You go do that right now. Hold on here.
Oh, no. Final results are in. You missed it. You are not part of my political polling process on Twitter. I was actually kind of surprised by it. Look, obviously, it's not necessarily the most balanced sampling of people that, you know, like, look at my Twitter feed. But there were... How many followers do I have on Twitter now, Funkhauser? Can you see?
You have followers, 25.4 thousand followers. That's a room full of people.
I cracked 20.
good.
So that could be a good cross section and variety of people. And
you're following like 1% of them.
Wait, that's a different poll. Over 50. I love Twitter polls. It's my new favorite thing. Like this Twitter poll, over 50% of people say they've hooked up with a coworker at the office holiday party. Have you? And I got 100 votes on this poll. 22% replied, "Aw, yeah." 56% replied, "Hell no," and another 22% replied, "Photocopied my butt." So there's a good sampling of people in there. I've got like 25,000 people on Twitter, and these are getting around 100 votes. So I don't know. I don't put a ton of stock in them, but I was kind of surprised by the results of my poll, which is what she said.
Sorry, excuse me, God.
Yeah. These were my Twitter poll questions. Left-leaning friends. If you had to vote today, how would that go? Clinton or Sanders? What do you think the result was for that?
Sanders.
Overwhelmingly Sanders. Now, this is the only landslide that happened in this particular poll, which is, again, as legit as you can be by being a poll that I put up on Twitter. But, I just thought Clinton was running away with things on the left. And Clinton had 26% of the votes. Sanders had 74%. And I always thought that people weren't necessarily taking Bernie Sanders as a real option. That was my thinking, that nice ideas, interesting. We like him. He's kind of charming in a cranky old man sort of way, but it's not like we're actually going to vote for this guy. But an overwhelming majority of people seem to take Sanders a lot more seriously than I thought they did. And these are my contemporaries. These are my peers. These are the conversations that I have with people that I base these thoughts on. And I was very surprised by this one. And then because of the clown car aspect of the GOP, because there's still so many people, the field hasn't really been narrowed all that much yet. I had to break it up into two separate polls because I think there's only room for 4 people in any one Twitter poll. But
sounds like a party there.
Yeah. Right-leaning friends, if you had to vote today for one of these career politicians, how would that go? Options being Cruz, Paul Rubio, Bush. Who do you think came out on top?
Bush.
No. Bush was tied in second.
Bush never wins anything.
In second place with Rubio. And early on, I kind of thought Bush was going to be, I was like, okay, his last name's Bush. He's clearly going to get elected. We have all these we have all this sort of insanity with, the woman that used to run the photocopy company and the doctor that thinks that grain was stored in the pyramids and a real estate mogul from New York. That's all charming and they have some nice ideas, but ultimately people aren't going to feel safe pulling the lever for these folks. And when they figure that out, they're going to be voting for Bush. And now I'm not so sure. Look, he's been. A lot of people said he just looks weak. Left, right, and center. It seems like he's not willing to play the game. I kind of relate to Jeb Bush a little bit. You know what I mean? And you want to know how I relate to Jeb Bush?
No, we don't know what you mean. Tell us, please.
I relate to Jeb Bush in that, not in that I come from a political dynasty, but I relate to Jeb Bush in that. I think part of the reason why he is falling behind is he's kind of not willing to play the game. He's going, Trump is ridiculous. He's being ridiculous. I'm not going to play Trump's game. And then Trump takes a Trump all over him. And he's like, this should be a meritocracy. Look, I've got a long history of voting conservative on big issues, and I've been very successful in my sort of government positions up till now. These are the results I've gotten. These are the positions I've taken on things. I am the best candidate for the Republican Party. And on paper, sure, why not? All that looks really good. But when Trump comes in and takes a Trump all over you and you're not willing to play his game. You're not willing to sensationalize yourself. You're not willing to. And he's gotten frustrated in polls, too, or in interviews, too. He's like, look, if you want some crazy guy that's just going to, promise you a bunch of stuff he can't deliver on and then be an insane maniac, then fine, vote for Trump, And in the meantime, Trump surges ahead by playing a game that Bush refuses to play. And that's kind of how I've always felt about the professional world. We come from a world where, you don't necessarily have to be the most talented person in the room. You just have to be the one that shouts the loudest and said, what about me? It's about me. Radio's full of people like that. And here I am going like, well, I've got a long history of ratings and nobody beats me. So clearly I'm the man for every single, good thing that could possibly come the way. Oh, what? That talentless ass clown's doing it now? Well, I'm just not willing to lower myself to play that sort of game. And that's the thing. I think Bush isn't willing to lower himself to play that sort of game, and I commend him for it. But, that's the game that's being played right now. Trump has completely changed the playing field, so it's interesting. We'll see how that goes. But who came out of all the career politicians? In at number one, Ted Cruz. But it was a slim margin over Rubio. So Cruz is out in front. And again, this is the wildly accurate political poll that is my Twitter feed. But Cruz is out in front because he's got, Cruz could take on Trump. Cruz thinks that he's, a big enough dog. Cruz, and he falls back on this all the time, and I think it kind of weakens him. But he's like, I challenge you to a debate anywhere. Anytime, Mr. President, if you're going to insult me to my face, let's go. I challenge you to a debate. Now, Cruz was like one of the biggest debaters in the country when he was in college. Like he had an illustrious career.
You think he's master level?
I think he's master level debater. Yes, I think he's a master debater, Funkhauser. Cruz is a master debater, and he always falls back on that. He's like, I'll debate you anywhere, anytime. Anybody that disagrees with him, he's like, oh yeah, let's have a debate. And political debates are a big part of how the world goes around in the world of politics. But at the same time, it's sort of like if Funkhauser was super good at tiddlywinks, and
who says I'm not?
Exactly. Who says you're not? But if you had like an unfair advantage at tiddlywinks and you wanted to settle your disputes that way, if someone was like, well, say you had a roommate that, wasn't coming up with their side of the rent, and they're like, well, I feel like I already paid by, you ate my bag of carrots, that counts for something, or you had my last, piece of bacon out of the fridge or what have you. And Funkhauser was like, oh, yeah, well, let's settle this over a game of tiddlywinks. And the other guy is sort of like not a master tiddlywinker or a master debater. and so like when Cruz goes like, when Cruz goes, I challenge you to a debate, it's sort of to me like saying like, let's go, game of tiddlywinks. As much as debating is an integral part of the political process, there's that. And Scott Briscoe just pointed out on Twitter that, Trump is a master marketer, and he is. Now, the new poll came out. He's like 20 points ahead. But according to my folks on Twitter, and I think of this as being a decent sampling, a room full of people, and I collect folks from the political talk world. I collect folks from just the internet in general. And then I collect folks from the two larger markets that I'm in, from Houston and from California. And so, 25,000 people, 103 people voted. And Carson surged away with the lead in this one. And I again thought Carson was someone that people had stopped taking too seriously. I thought that a lot of people went, hey, he's really got nice ideas. But ultimately, there's just so much he doesn't know about politics. There's so much that he doesn't know about the job that could be waiting for him. And there's so much that he doesn't know that it makes us uneasy about it. It makes it seem like not a real candidate. And so, but Carson way out in front. Do you have somebody, Funkhauser? Do you like, assuming they can clinch the nomination? Do you have someone that you would vote for?
No, not yet.
Not yet. No one's
still
really
looking around there. Yeah, just looking at them all talk. Global warming keeps coming up, and now it's a conspiracy and stuff.
Well, yeah. I will tell you this. The whole Donald Trump surging ahead thing, right after he said some stuff that it's pretty much some of the most divisive political talk that's ever happened on the face of the planet. Certainly, in the run up to an election, to say something like that as something that people view as being as extremist as that. And what's crazy is it like that whole thing like, hey, no more Muslims can come into America, which Donald Trump suggested. And we got to start investigating all the mosques, which Donald Trump suggested. And a lot of people went, hey, this flies in the face of everything that this country was founded on, these ideas of freedom and specifically freedom of religion. this is an incredibly un-American thing that you've suggested, and this whole idea smacks of, this smacks of a certain failed German art student with a laughable mustache. The country's in trouble. Let's make this country great again. The country's in trouble, and it's all because of this one specific religion. I understand the parallels people draw between Trump and Hitler. And maybe I'm not a visionary enough to see it, but let's not trivialize the Holocaust by saying Trump's Hitler, because you know what? Until someone is Hitler, until they're responsible for genocide, they're not. And I'm not saying that I don't understand how you're looking at him going like, these things are fundamentally un-American, but for now, let's hold off on calling Donald Trump a Hitler. Like I said, it trivializes those who suffered through the Holocaust, and I'm sort of always not going to be okay with that. But the thing that Trump presents is an idea. People are scared. And Trump presents an idea, something concrete that you can sink your teeth into, and that's something that other people haven't done yet. They haven't put forth a plan of this is how we're going to deal with this. People are dying. This is what we're going to do about it. It's all been really, really vague. And I think that because Trump has presented a plan, literally any plan, literally any sense of certainty, because all people want to hear in these situations where you are completely out of your depth. You're completely out of your depth in situations where there's an idea of a terrorist threat. They want to hear someone go, it's okay. We got you. We're dealing with this. Don't worry about it. And that's kind of what Trump has done. And it makes people go, whew. And it might be an overly simplified narrative for overly simplified people in a very complex time. But you know what? He inspires confidence by having a plan. And to those people, and we talked about this a little bit the other day on the show, to those people that say, well, oh my God, Trump has absolutely smoked it. He can't say this and expect to. And then you're going, he's surging ahead. Well, time to defriend all my Trump supporters on Facebook. Everybody that, finds a shred of value to anything that Trump does is clearly an idiot that hates America. I would encourage people that feel that way, as much as I can understand it based on some of the things that he said. I would encourage people to feel that way, to look at the humanity behind what he's saying, in that he is offering comfort and support in a time where people need it with a concrete plan. And almost no one else, the best as I can tell, is really doing that. But yeah, we talked about it the other day. The reason people like Trump is because he's got a plan. He's concrete. He's definite. He offers scared people a sense of support. Is he preying on the weak? Does prejudice seduce? Do prejudices seduce the weak-minded? Absolutely, they do. Is that what he's doing? Is that the place that his heart is in? There's all sorts of theories about Trump. I heard one the other day where he's like, crap, I might actually win. I wasn't up for this. I got to say something ridiculous. And there's some people, I think even Rachel Maddow said that, like, he's scared he might win, so he starts acting up and being crazy, and it only sort of like drives him further along, gives him a boost in the polls when he was failing before. But it's definitely an interesting one. And look, if you've got a friend, if you are fundamentally against everything that Trump stands for, and you've got friends and family, they're like, I kind of like this guy. Look a little deeper. Try and understand why. Because we must not be divided right now as a people. About 10 with puppies in my face, and Dad gotta join the human race. Time for a yawn and a stretch and a walk, you see. They know my order.
This is USA Radio News. I'm Melody Burkett. An arrest may come soon as the investigation continues into the deadly mass shooting in San Bernardino. The New York Daily News reports the arrest of a close friend of one of the shooters is imminent. Enrique Marquez is accused of buying the rifles Syed Farouk and his wife used to murder 14 people and wound more than 20 others last week. Marquez reportedly has told investigators he and Farouk planned a terror attack in 2012, but gave up the idea because they lost their nerve. Donald Trump is putting off his trip to Israel the day after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu came out against his call to ban Muslims from entering the U.S. Trump says he's decided to postpone the visit and a planned meeting with the Prime Minister. A state of emergency is in effect for parts of Washington state after more than a foot of rain has fallen this week. Record-breaking storms are opening sinkholes in major highways in Washington and Oregon. Thousands of people have no electricity. This is USA Radio News. I'm Melody Burkett.
Hey, it's Angie Austin. You know, do you ever have a hard time finding just the right shampoo for you? Well, listen to this. In a recent new customer survey, over 90% of respondents would recommend Ovation Hair to a friend. And I'm one of that 90%. I absolutely love the Ovation products. My hair is fuller. It smells great. I have it's just much easier for me to handle and style my hair. I'm completely addicted to their products, and I can help you get a discount as well. If you go to ovationhair.com, ovationhair.com, you can actually get a discount. You'll click on, when it asks you where you heard about it, radio, and then click on Angie Austin Daybreak, and you'll get a discount. There's also a satisfaction guarantee. If you're not satisfied, you get your money back, and I'm very satisfied. I've been using the products for several months now, and I will never change because my hair has never looked this good. I'll be honest with you. Again, go to ovationhair.com, ovationhair.com, and make sure you click on Angie Austin with Daybreak USA.
What's trending? In Major League Baseball, more wheeling and dealing in the offseason as the Pirates and Mets made a trade. Pittsburgh sent second baseman Neil Walker to New York for starting pitcher Jonathan Neese. The White Sox acquired third baseman Brett Laurie from the A's for a pair of minor leaguers. In the NFL, the Raiders and wide receiver Michael Crabtree agree on a 4-year contract extension worth $35 million. $19 million is guaranteed. NBA games of note, the Celtics had 8 players score in double digits in a 105-100 win over the Bulls. Hornets get a Nicholas Batum triple-double to help beat the Heat 99-81. Memphis gets a 93-92 win over the Pistons. Grizzlies get a half-court shot in the final seconds from Matt Barnes. That was the game-winning basket. James Harden goes for 42 points as the Rockets down the Wizards 109-103, and the Raptors edge the Spurs 97-94. College basketball, top-ranked Michigan State had no trouble beating Maryland Eastern Shore 78-35. Dayton upset number 21 Vanderbilt 72-67. I'm Eddie Garcia.
We are now, a year in rock spotlight. 1973.
The Rolling Stones are back on top with the #1 album in the U.S. and the U.K. and a #1 single, Angie. Let's Get It On is a #1 single and a #2 album for Marvin Gaye. Also in August of 73, Stevie Wonder is back with the #4 album, Inner Visions. And Florida band Lynyrd Skynyrd released their debut album, had a top 20 hit with Freebird, and tour opening for The Who. Fast forward to October, where on their 8th album, the Steve Miller Band debut a smooth blues rock sound and score a #1 hit with The Joker.
I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I sure don't want to hurt no
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up.
iHeartRadio puts the spotlight on Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi stayed active through the 2000s and 2010s with their 10th studio album, 2007's Lost Highway, being their first #1 debut. It also had more of a country sound after the success of the band's 2006 duet with Jennifer Nettles, Who Says You Can't Go Home, which hit #1 on the U.S. country chart. John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora were both inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2009. Bon Jovi released their 12th studio album, What About Now, in 2013. A rift with Richie Sambora and John Bon Jovi resulted in Sambora leaving the band in spring 2013. All things Bon Jovi. Info, music, and more.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again, nobody rock a party better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again, nobody rock a party better than me.
So what was this list of apps you were talking about, Funkhauser?
I just glanced at the morning news, and they said that on the list of Apple's top apps, number 1, what do you think it is?
Is this top apps of 2015? I love the end of the year because everybody comes out with their top lists of things that happened over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And it's interesting as you look back, and some of the things you forgot happened. But so is this over the last year?
Yeah, over the last year. What's the number 1 app according to Apple?
Number 1. Okay. Do they have the criteria? Is this the most downloads of it?
I don't know. I just happened to glance up and see it.
If it's the most downloaded app of the year, I'm gonna guess.
There's a drummer in here now.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Tell him to keep going. Hey, why'd the drummer stop?
He's a short drummer.
Short drummer. If it's the number 1 most downloaded app of 2015, I'm gonna have to guess it's Periscope.
Periscope? Final answer?
Yeah. Final answer.
Aha!
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that was like viewed as the big game-changing app. I thought that everybody, this is so cool. Periscope's going to be awesome. It's certainly in the broadcasting world, everyone was like, this is amazing. And then everybody downloaded it. And here's the thing. People, when you give them a forum are, for the most part, kind of boring. It's just like, oh, this is so cool. I get to watch this person. And they're boring. Like, they're just going through their life doing absolutely nothing. So I figured a bunch of people downloaded it, and like me and everybody else I know got really into it, and then went, pretty dull. There's actual television on right now where people sort of like write stories and act them out, and there's plot and sets and scripts, and that's better than watching somebody eat their breakfast. But do you like it? I mean, like, do you still watch stuff on Periscope?
Let me check it right now and see what's going on. There's a goose. I could watch this all day, probably.
Yeah. Is there anything that you watch on Periscope?
No, I mean, now that you can skim through videos, I like to needle drop on them. You know, just like find a spot. And there's a couple of comedians that are doing good jobs on it, and a couple of adult actori that are doing some good jobs on it.
You mean there's lots of porn chicks on?
Yeah.
But there's no nudity allowed on Periscope.
Well,
they kind of like sneak it in there a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, hey, join my paid show, but in the meantime, bleep.
Oh yeah. Here's the thing. I don't feel like wading through 15 minutes of shaky camera phone video to see a hint of nipple, when literally. Again, it's kind of like the TV thing. Look what's right over there, as much as you want, on demand. And I guess, I don't know. I suppose, really, because there's a chat room-esque aspect to it, too, where you can talk to these people and ask them questions. That must be kind of cool. But anybody good that you want to talk to, a lot of the time, you can't. Like, I like that comedian Jim Jeffries. He's really good on Periscope, and he'll do it because he's bored. Like, I can't sleep, I have insomnia. Here's me in a hotel room in Dallas, and he'll just answer people's questions. It's kind of like an AMA on Reddit. And that, to me, is kind of interesting. And he's naturally funny, so some of his stuff is both interesting and funny. And so there's that, but I've never been able to ask him a question because, like, the chat room or whatever it is too full. So, yeah, unless you're one of the first people to show up and you can actually get your question in right away, it's just sort of, it's one of those things where everybody thought it was amazing, and I'm sure they're going to come up with more applications for it, and it's going to grow, and it's going to be a huge part of what we do as broadcasters going forward. But right now, I've sort of got it, and I'm waiting for something to suck me back into it, because I was all about it for like the first couple of months that it was out. We were like, oh my God, I'm going to watch Jim Gaffigan go to the park and feed ducks with his kids. That's too cool. I love Jim Gaffigan. And then what you realize is it's Jim Gaffigan not being funny. It's just, kind of like this vaguely chubby middle-aged guy feeding ducks at the park with his kids. And it's cool because you go, oh my God, I love Jim Gaffigan. There he is doing normal people stuff. That's amazing.
I'm going to be in Chicago Thursday.
Yeah. And after the first, 15 seconds of it, you go, is this all it's going to be?
Thanks
I'm going to watch
compliment.
the Jim Gaffigan special on Netflix. Yeah, exactly.
One-sided conversations. Here I am feeding the ducks.
Yeah.
No, they are
exactly
ducks. They're not
like.
Seagulls. They're ducks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Baltimore on Friday.
Funny. Okay. All right, Funkhauser. What's the title of today's show?
The Rude Text.
Oh, the Rude Text. Because we've started tackling the big issues on this show. There's something that you do, not necessarily you, Funkhauser, but people do, that is viewed as being very, very rude in the world of texting.
New phone, who dis?
No, not that. It's something a lot more benign that a lot of people, it's just, and it's funny, I read about this thing, I was like, you know what? It does sound overly curt or snotty when people do this, or it does come across that way. It reads in an unfriendly sort of way when people do this one simple thing that is probably not intended to be rude, but it can really set people on edge. What is it? What should you avoid doing in your text messages? A full story a little later on in the show, because like I said, we tackle the big issues around here these days. Right now, though, let's take a look at the events of today in our segment, My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair, certainly not balanced. Funkhauser, A,
yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
B, what is going on in the world?
Yeah, one of my lights is out.
On your car?
No, here. On the
station?
thing, on the candy-colored buttons, one of them is out.
Oh, right.
So
right.
I never know if you're... And it's you. Your light's out.
Oh, it's like the one... Because, like, when people walk into a radio studio and they see all the buttons, they go, ooh, do you know what every single one of these does? And you go, no, but it's okay, because out of these 500 buttons, I only ever use these 2. The light is out on one of the 2 out of 500 buttons that you use.
Yeah.
It's Murphy's Law. Okay.
So I hope you're there. I'm really...
Here. Yeah,
right.
That's the thing. We're doing this.
Vladimir Putin wants to nuke ISIS.
Just do your Russian guy accent again.
Vladimir Putin, he wants to nuke ISIS.
Yeah, yeah. Vladimir Putin wants to nuke ISIS. And then Donald Trump said he wants to nuke all Muslims, and the rest of the world said, we get it. Your junks are small.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Bob Seger to discuss why he prefers to write songs on his own.
It's really challenging, and I kind of wish I could do it with other people. I've tried. I wrote with the Eagles once. We did Heartache Tonight together, and I've written with Henley on his records a little bit and Fry a little bit on his records. But for some reason, I just prefer to do it alone, It's maybe because I'm in control of it and because nobody tells me, no, that's no good. And I tell you, I'm a finisher. I finish everything. I finish a lot of bad songs because I go too far one way or too far the other way, and I say, what were you thinking? But it almost takes me, it takes me so long to write them, about a week or 2 or 3. I'll pound away on something and completely throw it away. And a lot of people don't have the courage to do that, to throw something away when they look at it. And I like that. I just love the challenge of doing that. It's really fun to do. I think I do it really well.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Bob Seger and all your favorite artists.
And now a look back at This Week in History.
Winner takes all. The Spanish-American War ended this week in 1898. In 1901, the first Nobel Prizes were awarded. In 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt became the first American to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. received the Peace Prize in 1964. The ice cream cone was patented this week in 1904. Who doesn't love a nice winter ice cream cone? In 1940, the Bears defeated Washington in the NFL championship game 73-0, the largest margin of defeat in NFL history. The Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor December 7, 1941. Congress declared war on Japan the following day, and the U.S. entered World War II.
That's your look back at This Week in History.
Now, someone who everybody wants to punch in the face. AD on the radio.
Let's roll through what remains of the news, Funkhauser, and then we'll get into what people are doing in their text messages that makes other people go, F this person. That's rude. It's this innocuous thing.
Capital
that
K?
You wouldn't. No, not capital K.
What do you call that? A K-bomb?
I don't know. Sorry, had to wait for the song to finish.
Yeah, me too. Do you hear about this? A bald eagle almost attacked Donald Trump during a photo shoot.
Yeah.
This is a great video.
Oh, wait, there's video?
Yeah, well, there's a GIF running around on the internet.
Oh.
It's amazing.
Can you find it and send it to me, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, bald eagle almost attacked Donald Trump during a photo shoot. Obviously, the eagle was there to give a sense of patriotism to a photo that was being taken of Donald Trump, what with him sort of like feeling like he's locking up the presidency in 2016, and the bald eagle went after him. This I have to see. Did you find it?
I'm getting it. All
right, yeah. Maybe it was hungry and thought that thing on top of his head was a muskrat or some other sort of rodent.
No, he kind of goes under him. You know, he does a little reach under, and the bald eagle's like, "Where's your hand going, buddy?"
Oh.
Yeah, you'll see it. I just sent you the link. And I tweeted it out, too. Yay.
You know, Ben Franklin wanted our national bird to be the turkey.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Maybe because we ate him at the first Thanksgiving. That was the significance
Big
of
and
it.
fat.
Like, who knows? But like the turkey was almost our our national bird. If Ben Franklin would have had his way.
Oh, this is a great gift too. Can't wait.
Is this real? This looks completely animated. Like that's a real eagle?
Yeah.
That's. Sorry. Oh, God. Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. It was for a Time magazine shoot. And they actually brought an eagle into... That's bananas to me because... You know when they take those pictures, those pictures of here's the cast of whatever the hell the TV show is?
Yeah.
Real Housewives or what have you? Or they do a cover shoot? Well, you know, the likelihood of getting everybody... getting everybody to do the right thing at the right time and have their best, best side forward in a photo shoot when you got a cast of a bunch of people, the likelihood of that happening is slim to none. So what they do is they just take individual pictures. A lot of those folks that are in these group shots are never actually in the same room at the same time when the photo's being taken, so they just kind of paste it together afterwards. Why they would put a live bald eagle in Donald Trump's office and take this picture rather than just sort of like Photoshop it in afterwards or take the picture of the eagle in Trump's office without Trump there so they could get the perfect eagle shot. Like, you got to try and get perfect Trump and perfect eagle in the same thing. And, like the eagle isn't necessarily going to want to look at the camera for you or strike the right pose because it's an eagle. It's not really, it's like, I understand I've been chosen as your national bird, but, I didn't really feel like I was window dressing for a campaign photograph, so I'm just going to do eagle stuff and not really notice that the camera's there. And then you got to get Donald Trump looking good. That, I would imagine, takes a little bit of doing. You got to make sure that the muskrat on his head is in place. And so I can't imagine why they would actually think it was a good idea to put Donald Trump and an eagle in the same room at the same time and take a photo of it. But it was a gift from the comedic gods. If you haven't seen it yet, Funkhauser at Funk FM has just tweeted it out. It's interesting stuff. Oh, that turned the frown upside down today. What else?
Los Angeles County voted in favor of letting Syrian refugees into the area.
Yeah, I guess, they put it to a local vote in and around Funkhauser's
Our mayor's pretty
hometown,
cool.
Los Angeles, California. Yeah, what I like about that is it does involve the will of the people. What I do not like about that is it doesn't involve the will of the people, north or south of Los Angeles County that didn't get the vote, So it's like, I don't know how they there's so many things that we don't know about this situation, but in spirit, I like the idea of asking the people what they want, So there's that, I suppose. Los Angeles County voted in favor of letting Syrian refugees into the area.
That's a good Twitter poll question right there.
Yeah. I think the refugees will be allowed into the Los Angeles area, but only after they get small dogs and pledge to be gluten-free.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. Go on.
Gun maker Smith & Wesson has nearly tripled its profits this quarter.
It's what they say over and over again. Obama, greatest gun salesman of all time.
Rolling like a big shot.
Gun maker Smith & Wesson has nearly tripled its profits this quarter. In other words, I don't think anyone's really reading those highly persuasive Facebook rants. It's like, it's crazy. People spend so much energy. And it's weird to talk about Facebook on this show, but it's become such a humongous part of people's lives and how they go through it and how they express themselves. And people spend so much time and effort and energy ranting and raving on Facebook and other forms of social media. Like, these are hours of your life that will never be gotten back. And ultimately, and I'm not discounting how you feel. I'm not saying your feelings aren't valid, but there was that time where I was like, okay, that's it. I'm out. I will no longer disagree with someone on the internet. It's not a productive, it's not a good use of my time. And it happened right when the gay marriage Confederate flag thing went on. And Facebook just exploded with people very, very passionately spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of their lives that they're never going to get back banging on about something in posts that almost no one reads. And when that happened, I was like, this is the least productive use of our nation's time that I've ever seen. If you add up the collective minutes spent hammering on about what your opinion is in this world on Facebook, there's probably a way you could take that energy and put it into things that would actually affect some sort of change. But you know what? It doesn't, I don't think. And I get it. Sometimes people just have to externalize things. You have to say to a room full of your friends, which I guess Facebook essentially is, how you feel, what's on your mind. You're looking for some sort of connection. You're looking for that dopamine hit of people going, ooh, I like this post. I responded to this post. That means people are hearing me, and that means I'm a valid person. Yay! That's a human need, and I understand how that happens. But when all that happened, I was like, that's it. I'm out. I will never disagree with anyone online. I will not be sucked into anything. I will not be baited into anything, nor will I bait people into things, because you know what? This achieves absolutely nothing. And this is time in my life that is never coming back. All right, go on.
A plot for the proposed Hunger Games prequels has surfaced.
Yeah, now they're out of Hunger Games movies, and they're making money hand over fist off of them. They're like, ooh, how can we reboot this? Okay, all right, prequels. Let's do that. Let's do that, because the Hunger Games had a conclusive ending, so they got to come up with something that they can monetize. And I think that the plot that surfaced is all about an evil totalitarian empire that steals from its people by forcing them into movie theaters to spend money on unoriginal, regurgitated crap. Go on, one more piece of news.
Help this Christmas.
Yeah.
John McCain warned that a weak Republican presidential nominee in 2016 could jeopardize GOP control of the Senate.
Well, yeah. And, you know, if anyone's an expert on what happens with a weak Republican presidential nominee, it would be John McCain. All right, then. Something you should not be doing in your text messages. You know, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. When I did Wake the Flock Up.
Oh, you did it with our buddy Concept 714.
Concept 714, one of our sort of interns, who's probably going to come back on the show more in the future, has the #1 hip-hop podcast on the internet. How we qualify that statement, I'm not sure. But me being a big fan of hip-hop, especially sort of like early 90s and independent hip-hop, it was a real thrill to go on his podcast and talk about something that wasn't, this. So
how can we hear that, by the way?
I don't think it's done yet. I think it'll be out sometime today. I'm not sure.
Okay, cool.
I want to do it again, actually. Like, it was 2 hours. He was like, we got to break this up into 2 episodes because we do like about an hour. And I was like, 2 hours? And he was like, dude, this just flew by. So it was really cool. I don't know if his listeners are going to be into 2 hours of someone who is not, a rapper they've heard of. You know what I mean? So I don't know if anyone's actually going to enjoy it or listen to it on his end. His listening audience is geared toward independent hip hop. And like, I wanted to go on and talk about that because, that's sort of like my musical wheelhouse. And we ended up just kind of talking. And it was like so much fun. And I really, what I really enjoyed, Funkhauser? I enjoyed not driving the ship. I enjoyed it not being my responsibility to get us from A to B. Like I enjoyed being the Flavor Flav to his Chuck D, instead of having
Welcome
to
to my world.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yep. Yeah. I can see. I definitely see the appeal. But we actually talked about how text messaging has sort of like ruined our ability to communicate one-on-one because here are kids growing up in this day and age that don't have to think on their feet conversationally. Like the main form of communication really is text. And when you text something, you can edit it a couple of times. You can look at it. You can go, is this really the right text to send? You can then show it to your friend and go like, hey, I'm thinking of sending this text. Is that a good idea? And you can take all these things into consideration before you respond. Yeah, that sounds good, or whatever the hell it is. And that is sort of like nullifying our ability to think on our feet in a conversation, think on our feet in a yeah. The art of conversation is really dying. Anyways, feats. What a maroon. But yeah. So like text messaging is destroying our ability to relate one-on-one. You can hear more about that on the Wake the Flock Up podcast with Concept 714. But yeah, we're talking about texting. Sometimes it's hard to convey the right tone when you're texting. That's why we've all become slaves to emojis. But this is a tiny detail that can apparently make a humongous difference. This new study out of Binghamton University in New York found that when you end your text with a period, people think you're less sincere. Like if you were answering someone and wrote sure or glad you had fun and didn't use a period, the person will assume you actually mean it. But if you write sure, period, or glad you had fun, period, and you do put the period at the end of the sentence, somehow it comes off like you're being insincere or snarky or rude, which is kind of a weird test since both examples sound like kind of cold either way, but, whatever. And if you really want to come off like you're telling the truth, use an exclamation point. I emphatically agree. This is definitely the truth. Exclamation point. The exclamation point makes people trust you the most. Ending something with a period, not so much. Do you know what they're talking about, Funkhauser? Like if you go, hey, girlfriend, everything okay? And she writes back, sure, period. That is a warning sign that everything's not okay.
Yeah.
You relate to this situation. Yeah. They say that it shows how language is evolving because of texting. I think possibly devolving. But this is exactly what we were talking about, which is why I find it to be so interesting. Because this is our main form of communication, messaging, texting, we can't rely on visual or social cues anymore. We can't see the expression on their face. We can't take in their body language. We don't really know. So we're subconsciously looking for any clues about tone whatsoever, and that includes punctuation. But before you change the way that you text, the study was done on college undergrads, so maybe the rest of us aren't so into the hidden meaning of punctuation as a bunch of kids that just entered the world and have been texting as their main form of communication their entire lives. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll be back on Monday. We'll do this all over again. You rule! Exclamation point.